I think it's 4 o'clock, so we're ready to call the meeting to order. Whoa, feedback. If we could please do attendance.
Urban,
Here.
Faber, Carter, Johnson,
Here.
Mazu,
Here.
Raber,
Here.
Walker,
Here.
Stidham.
I'm good.
Great. And the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion regarding the consent agenda?
We accept the agenda.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, I did miss a second. Can I ask for a second, please?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Linda. Okay, the motion passes. On to new business for today. Do we have a motion regarding the minutes from October 19th?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from October 19th, 2023.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Oh,
Great. All in favor of approving minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Next item on the agenda has to do with the 521 Grove Street Public Space Master Plan, which I believe we have a presentation and then a public hearing following. Thank you.
Good afternoon, commission members. Nice to see you. My name is Sarah Arkle. I'm the Parks Resources Superintendent for the Department of Parks and Recreation. And I'm excited today to bring to you a project and a proposal that we have been working on for a little over a year. Just to orient you, the map that you see before you is downtown, a section of downtown on the east side, what some would call the old Boise blocks in the center of downtown. Property that we're going to be discussing today is underneath that yellow star at the address of 521 West Grove Street. As you can see, it's about kitty corner to CW Moore Park and within walking distance of a couple of their parks managed properties. 521 Grove Street was acquired by Capital City Development Corporation, I believe in 2020. We have been working since that time and very deliberately in the last year with Capital City Development Corporation to plan a future park at this site. The intent of the acquisition on CCDC side was always to develop a park at this parking lot location and then subsequently donate it to the city of Boise. And to that end, CCDC hired Jensen Belts Associates to manage the project, the outreach effort, as well as the design concept development, and have been working very closely with us here at Boise Parks and Recreation and also with Boise Arts and History with the intention that art would be an integral part of the park design. Just a little background and some context. So as we discuss and move forward with presentation and of the master plan or the design concept, and I'll kick it over to my colleagues here in a moment. But a few years back, Capital City Development Corporation initiated a visioning exercise with the community to help define what the future of the old Boise blocks would look like, with the understanding that their impact fees in this district would sunset in 2025. So a number of projects have spawned off of that visioning exercise, and this project being one of the core efforts to see that vision realized. As you're probably aware, the old Boise block area has a diverse cultural and historical element to it. You see the Basque blocks are in that neighborhood. And then of course there's history here for a wide variety of residents of the city of Boise. So we'll go into that here in more detail as we discuss the design of the park itself and the artwork that's envisioned to be integrated into the park. I want to kick it over to Carl Woods here with CCDC and Kim, oh gosh, I missed it. Siegenthaler, thank you, Kim, I'm sorry. With Jensen Belts Associates, I was hoping they would be able to run you through the outreach process, what was done, what CCDC initiated, and the design that came out of that work. And then we'll come back and talk about timelines and open up the public hearing after that. Carl?
afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Carl Wood, Senior Project Manager. Wanted to just expand a little bit on what Sarah had spoken about with the visioning effort on Old Boise blocks. It was a really robust outreach effort to collect ideas on how we can really tee up this neighborhood for future success and really focus our investment. And a couple of things came to the forefront of that as recommendations that we wanted to work on. One of which was the community wanted to see more public spaces. And so that's why we're here today. And there's a whole bunch of other great ones, including taking the highly successful Basque Block language and continuing that down the street. And that's under construction right now. You guys can see that. And so we had a lot of really great conversations along the way. Just going to go into the history a little bit more. And we really learned a lot. We had Stevens Historic Research on our visioning team, and they really dug into the history. And what they reported back to us was that this area was really a lot like New York City in that it was a cultural melting pot. And we thought that was really, really fascinating. And we also had a lot of stakeholder conversations with businesses, property owners, tenants, residents, and so forth. One of which was Mirdan Ardiach, who is the owner of Lake Uona and the former owner of 521. And she told a lot of stories about growing up in this neighborhood. And so this is really interesting to hear an account of someone who'd grown up here. And she echoed the melting pot where everybody worked together, they played together, they celebrated together. And so as the conversations went on and we became more aware of what the community wanted to see, which was public spaces, we had conversations that, hey, you have a parking lot. How about if we do a public space? She said, that sounds good. We went and talked to Parks, and they said, yeah, we're on board. So we went back and continued the conversation, and she agreed to sell us the property. And she could have sold to anybody, but under the stipulation that we do develop a public space which celebrates the cultural diversity of the neighborhood. And so that was where we set off from. We purchased the property in January of 22. With Parks' help, we selected a design team, which is Kim and Jensen Belts. And then we set off on public engagement opportunities to figure out what the community wanted to see in this public space to make it a success. And so our first step was this online community survey, where we figured out what people wanted to see for uses, desired amenities, and then the meaningful aspects of the history and the culture they wanted to focus on. We had almost 1,000 respondents, most of, or a third of which lived in downtown, which was a really good response rate. And so then we took all of that feedback and our design team digested it and came up with 3 design alternatives, which we took back out to the public for further feedback through another online survey and then a community open house. And so what we heard from that is that the high level feedback that we got is that respondents were very excited about celebrating the culture and the history of the area. And they really wanted to be inclusive of all the cultures while complementing Basque Block. They wanted to interface with nature and green spaces. They were very supportive of that. And they really wanted places where they could sit, where they could read, where they could eat, where they could sit with a buddy, where they could congregate and celebrate. And we also heard that they were very excited about public art, but they didn't want just beautiful public art. They wanted public art that would identify with the Old Boise Blocks area. So that is how we got to where we are today. And I'm going to let Kim tell you a little bit more about the preferred alternative. So we basically took all of this feedback and boiled it down into one really great alternative, and that's what Kim's going to talk about.
Good afternoon. I'm Kim Sigenthaler, Principal Partner at Jensen Belts Associates. We're the project lead, a landscape architecture lead on the 521 open space. Yeah, as Carl mentioned, from the public responses of the 3 design options presented, our design team, including the project visionaries that we're working with, ZGF Architects, combined the most desired features into one proposed site design, as you can see up there on the screen. We are incredibly excited to work with a soon-to-be selected artist with the arts and history selection process and really dive into the integration of the history and culture into these design elements. Carl will talk about that just in a little bit. Opening the space up into Grove Street and the Bass Block connects the site to the surrounding sidewalks and the intersection of Sixth and Grove to host larger opportunities for markets and festivals and dance and music, which is common in this area as a celebration block. But on the daily basis, this is going to be a great space to come and have lunch and spend time. It's intended to be a lively hub for the neighborhood activities, and we'll have amenities also such as power stations, Wi-Fi, bike racks, power and water for larger events, and pet waste stations. The notion of celebration is the backbone of this project, and it takes the form of integrated storytelling throughout the forms of and elements of the park. Coupled with the idea of connection to nature and gathering its ability to have plenty seating for a variety of interaction and activities to take place. History, culture, and the creation of this great space is the goal of the design team. This is supported by undulating planters, shelters, and a stage to create a welcoming and comfortable space for gathering. As you can see, I've got some renderings here too, which I can get into, but there's some shade canopies that will provide some environmental control and for more comfortable year-round for spending time in the park. These are just conceptual. These are not the final design for this. We're working with the artist to possibly integrate art into these shade canopies. There is a raised portion. See if I can sit right there on the left side of the screen is a raised stage type area that can serve as a stage or a bandstand for different cultural activities, space for dancing and music. And then nature is important too. We've got planters and raised seat walls throughout, integrating the sandstone that we're using on the old Boise blocks to combine the two spaces into one coherent design element. That's another art opportunity for the artist to integrate some cultural and history interpretation into those. We've got a few planting beds too that will have native and adaptive plant material. And then there is some green spots in the center as well for laying out a blanket or having a picnic or just having a soft space to land in this urban environment. So yeah, so those are some of the views throughout the park there. If you guys want me to linger on these anymore. Carl's got a few more things about the historic and public art elements. Or you want me to do it? So we are working with Arts and History on a selection of a artist. And there's lots of opportunities for their interpretation of the arts and culture in this area to be integrated throughout the park, including the stage structures, the paving, the seat walls. The opportunities are pretty endless. So we're really excited to get an artist selected and on board with the design team to integrate those into the final product of the park. You want me to go over the next step? So the next steps that we plan as a design team and working with CCDC and Parks is we do have a city council work session on December 5th that will be presenting pretty much what we're presenting to you today for any feedback. City Council has received some Friday memos as we've worked through the public outreach process and had good feedback from them on that. January, we'll be submitting the design review for approval, and then going forward from February into July with construction documents. And then we anticipate construction from October 2024 through July 2025, and hopefully have a ribbon cutting before the sunset of the district in fall of 2025. So we're super excited. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Kim and Carl. Happy to answer any questions. I'm sure Kim and Carl would also stand for questions if you have any. Other than that, we would recommend that following the public hearing, Parks and Recreation Commission approve the master plan design for 521 Grove Street.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments?
Madam President, I just would comment that this is a great place to have gathering space. And I think if we've learned anything, our downtown visitors love gathering spaces in downtown. Cherie Buckner Webb, I would point to that in our partnership with CCDC in building that park, just the overwhelming success that we've had there. So we're happy to be participating in this, and thank you for purchasing the property, CCDC, and working closely to get it developed. Nothing is better than having it all done and it's paid for and we don't have to exhaust any resources and then you just hand it over to us. So we like that concept. It's a good one, but truly this is a needed gathering space in that part of our downtown. So we'll look forward to seeing this ribbon cut happening in 2025. So thank you guys again for the partnership.
Wonderful. Thank you again. The next portion is our public hearing. Do we have anyone signed up in the room today?
Madam President, we don't have anyone in the room or online at this time that would like to provide public testimony on this event or item.
I will still make sure to open and close it, but I will not read the instructions portion. So I'll go ahead and open our public hearing. And not hearing any participation in the room or online, we will move to close it. Do we need like a formal motion for that or no? I don't think so, right? Okay, great. All right, well, in that case, we would be looking for a motion in regards to the master plan.
I make a motion that we accept the master plan.
I second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, the motion passes. Thank you. Look forward to seeing it. We're moving on to the Roadskate Park restroom replacement, which I believe we have a presentation followed by a public hearing.
Thank you, Madam President. You're going to all be seeing a lot of me today, commissioners, so thank you in advance for your patience. Roadskate Park, as you are aware, this park is a one-of-a-kind destination in the city of Boise. We are very proud of it. It gets a lot of use. It's in a unique location that could have been, underutilized and ignored. And we, thanks to the J. Catherine Albertson's Foundation, we were able to execute a wonderful one-of-a-kind skate park. Unfortunately, we've had a really hard time keeping the restroom open since the beginning of this park opening. The Roadskate Park restroom, I'll just go back real quick, is located, unfortunately you can't see it in this picture, but it is located off to the left bottom corner of the page of the picture here. And in consultation with BPD over the years and in consultation with our maintenance staff, we've had a really hard time maintaining it, repairing it, and keeping it open. And in fact, it's been permanently closed for at least 3 years now while we try and determine an alternative solution that would allow folks to take care of their most basic needs with a safe and open environment. So our plan was to replace that restroom, or is to replace that restroom with a restroom that has more of a sidewalk style, similar to what you see at Cherie Buckner Webb Park. A restroom that would be, easier for our team to maintain and not as easy to vandalize and damage. So we have planned in 2024 to replace that restroom. And as we look at the site and in partnership with my design team, we would like the flexibility to be able to relocate the restroom based on guidance for park design to improve line of sight and safety. So we are applying for an Idaho Community District Block Grant that would allow us the flexibility to demolish and relocate demolish the old restroom, excuse me, and relocate the new restroom so that it's in a better location to improve user experience. I'm sure there's a lot that we can talk about with regard to this restroom, and I'm sure Director Holloway may have some thoughts and stories to tell. But we would really like to be able to get this restroom placed, have it be safe and available for users, and open. So according to the requirements associated with the grant application, we have to have a public hearing regarding this restroom replacement. And so that's why this is before you today. And following the public hearing, our staff recommends that the Boise Parks and Recreation Commission approve the restroom replacement project at Rhodes Skate Park and affirm the Idaho Community District Block Grant application.
Thank you. Director
Madam
Holloway?
President, commission members, yes, I do have a lot of stories. I won't get into any of those at this point, but and I'm glad, Sarah, you brought up the reasoning. We normally would not be bringing to the commission a restroom construction project, but it does require the grant application that a public hearing is held, and all our public hearings come through the Park and Recreation Commission. So that's the reasoning for it today. We have had great success with the Shree-Buckner web model. And that also, you'll be hearing from Sarah here in a moment about the update on the restroom at CW Moore. We're looking at the same style of restroom there as well. So it really is becoming, for the most part, particularly in our downtown core, our model that seems to work real well from a maintenance standpoint and also from a security standpoint for our police officers as well. So we're hopeful that all the grant money will come into play and that we'll be able to move forward and get a brand new restroom. It's much needed at Rhodes. We are using porta potties right now there, and those are not real functional for us with the amount of use we get there. So this is a much needed project in that part of our downtown.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
Madam President, Director Holloway or Superintendent Arkell, I'm not sure who to direct the question to, but they talked about the location being in a more, I just was curious if you had any idea where that was going to end up being.
Yeah, thank you, Madam President, Commissioner Johnson. At this time, we don't have an exact location. We would like to, like I said, apply the guidelines that are available for park sites for improving security and safety and determine a better location through this process. The challenge with this location is that it's just, there's some pillars that hide it. And so we'd like to have, a pretty open location where folks could visualize, see around the structure from all points. So don't have a specific location yet. It will probably depend on where existing utilities are and be constrained by some site limitations, but.
Thank you for answering that. And just looking at the two designs, I assume that's part of what aids in that safety is being able to visually see around the whole unit instead of have kind of hidden areas, dark areas.
Yes, Commissioner Johnson, that's correct. Improved lighting is definitely part of that. Mhm.
Thank you. And the next portion would be moving into our public hearing. I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Do we have anyone in the room or online signed up?
Madam President, there is no one online or in the room wishing to provide public testimony on this item.
Okay, well, in which case we will close the public hearing. And we are ready to hear a motion in regards to the Rhodes Skate Park restroom replacement project.
I make a motion that we accept the restroom replacement for Rhodes Park. By the way, my son loves that place. I'll take a minute. Before the skate park, I would drive him all over town. He's won all kinds of competitions, was sponsored by a skate park. And so when that park was constructed, it was life for my son, who's 32 now, but it was life for my son. And so it kept him out of trouble. It kept him engaged. It kept him busy, gave him a place to put his energy. So it holds a real special place in my heart. And so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Baber.
Okay, and we'll look for a second on the motion.
Second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, and the plan is approved. Thank you very much. That's an exciting project, and I'm glad there's a grant opportunity too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And welcome back again. We are looking forward to the update on the CW Moore Park Public Room.
Madam
Public
President, I will
restrooms.
seek to
Yes.
diversify your presentation voice next time we're here. But yes, I have a few project updates for the commission today. I'm excited to bring forward this one, CW Moore Park. This is one of our oldest parks, believe it or not. I think it was the second park that was donated to the city sometime in around 1904 by an individual named CW Moore, who had a obviously philanthropic ethic and wanted to have a place downtown where families could gather and play. The park over the years has become also the kind of a repository of historic elements of downtown that have been would have been lost through redevelopment if they had not been placed in this park. So that one of those features is that archway. And unfortunately, I can't remember off the top of my head which building it came from, but our Arts and History Department has done a report for us so that we have more context and more history associated with those elements. And hopefully we'll be revisiting those in the future. Today, I want to speak with you regarding our proposal to include a restroom. This park, I don't know if you'll remember back to the map I showed you at the very beginning of this presentation for 521 Grove. This park is directly across Grove Street from 521 Grove in the heart of an area of downtown that is lacking public services like restrooms. In fact, this project is funded through, again, CDBG funds. And those funds are available for projects that fill a public need in areas that are identified through that grant process as that grant program as having a deficiency. So we brought a proposal forward to build a public restroom, as I said, similar to the sidewalk style of Cherie Buckner Webb. An appeal was filed to the Historic Preservation Commission in February of last year. It's shocking to me that that has gone by so quick, pardon me. And that appeal has been moving through the appeal process through the summer. Our Historic Preservation Commission denied the appeal. That denial was appealed to council. Council heard the appeal and denied the appeal in September. So we are moving forward, hoping to have a contractor under contract here this fall to utilize that $350,000 that we have received of grant funding to construct the restroom. So like I said, our next steps are complete those agreements and hopefully begin construction this spring. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about that restroom or the process or the appeal. I'll do my best.
Madam President, I was just going to say, it sounds like it will serve the other park as well, to be honest. It's so close to that area.
Yes,
that
Madam
whole downtown
President, Commissioner Johnson, thank you for bringing that up because we did get a lot of questions through the design process for 521 Grove regarding a restroom. And frankly, that site is just too small. It's only 0.2 acres. So this will serve events downtown, events in the old Boise block. It'll also serve CW Moore. We have reservations at that site. People do get married there, believe it or not. A few every year. They have to hustle off, you know. But no, we're looking forward to being able to, you know, service folks' most basic need in an area of town that doesn't have it.
Wonderful. Any further questions or comments? Thank you very much for the update and look forward to our next update as well in regards to the Whitewater Park.
Thank you, Madam President. Commission members, this will be our last project update, so bear with me here. The Boise Whitewater Park, hopefully you're very familiar with it. I hope some of you have visited it, taken your families down maybe to watch some folks playing in the surf wave. We enjoy it in my family, and I'm excited today to give you an update about how we're going to be making it more functional and more enjoyable in the future. So this feature, this phase 2, so the Whitewater Park has a number of wave features. The phase 2 feature that you're looking at right here is really sort of the figurehead, I guess, of the park. It has a structure that can be flexed and moved to accommodate different water flows, which is unique. Most wave structures, and in fact, another wave structure in this park is a fixed wave structure. So you can't move it based on how the river is flowing and where you want the water to go. This is the only type of whitewater feature like this that exists in the country. There's some others similar to this that exist in Europe, but we here in Boise can claim the first in the country. So we're very proud of it. It was built in 2017. I think most users have enjoyed it, been very excited about, when the season opens. And, we have this very extensive outreach effort to communicate with kayakers and surfers about the wave function and structure and availability. But unfortunately, since it was installed, it hasn't performed the way that we had hoped that it would. It has neglected to provide, like I say, the user experience that was originally intended. We've had issues over the last few years at certain water levels where the wave feature would collapse or be unreliable. And that really, reflects on trying to find ways to better ensure user safety. And so this winter, we've been working actually for the last 3 years with professional engineers to try and come up with the appropriate modifications for this unique structure to help provide for a sustainable, reliable, and consistent wave feature at various water flows. And we are at the point now where we have identified what those modifications need to be, and we're looking forward to executing both those modifications and talking with our community members about how we're trying to balance the operational needs of the wave feature and our wave technicians' time and effort with the experience that folks are having. If you are unaware, the last 3 summers, I believe, Doug, you might have to correct me here, but we've had what we call monitored sessions. So because of that inconsistent wave, we've had folks out who are dive trained on site to make sure that our kayakers and our surfers are safe. And that obviously is incredibly time consuming for our team. We have a very small team of 3 now who manage and maintain these wave structures. So we're looking forward to modifications that reduce or eliminate the need for monitored sessions. And like I said, provide that consistent wave feature. So Monday, actually, we will be having an open house at the Boise Depot. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not at the Boise Depot. It's at the library, to bring the professional engineers to the table, to bring our design team to the table and our maintenance team to the table to answer questions about the modifications, present, what our operational needs are and what the proposed solutions are. So I'm looking forward to that. We've sent out materials to invite the public, and I'm hopeful folks will show up. We're right now in the process of applying for permits to work within the river. This effort is not simple. The river will need to be, dewatered. We'd have to work with our public works team and Idaho Fish and Game to salvage fish, and then place the modifications in the river, hopefully within this winter, so that by summer of 2024, we're up and running and learning again about what this new wave feature, how this new wave feature will operate. So I hope you're more than welcome to join us on Monday. I'm happy to answer some questions and go into a little bit more specificity if needed with regard to those modifications, because it is pretty technical. I'll do my best to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Sarah. Madam President, Commission members. So the technicality of maintaining a wave like this is pretty extreme. The safety feature certainly is our #1 issue that we have. But I would point out that this is not a recreation facility first and foremost. It is actually a diversion to provide water to, in this case, the irrigator, which is Farmers Union, which we have a legal obligation to provide them with water that they, by state statute, have a right to get. And so it gets lost in a lot of what has occurred over the last few years in how we've managed the wave and how we've managed the safety of it, that the primary function for this is to provide water for Farmers Union. So we really don't want to lose that piece in this. But certainly the byproduct of taking out the concrete and the rebar that was in the river that acted as a division prior to this, the first reason for doing that was to create a safe passage through there. Prior to that, you could not pass through that area because the diversion that was in place would not allow that. It wasn't a safe feature. So that was really one of the primary purposes, to look at how do we make that a safe passage area for all of our users of the river? And that's where the wave comes into play, that actually serves that purpose. But it has to continue to serve as a opportunity to provide that water for Farmers Union. And just the byproduct, though, is we get a recreation amenity as well out of this. And it just has not worked the way we were anticipating that it was going to work when we dedicated this. And actually, we dedicated it in 2019. But we have been able to have the monitored sessions, which are basically expert level sessions, but we have to have someone there at all times, making certain that if the wave does have a crash, as we refer to it, then there is, we have people on site that we can actually shut the wave down and get people off the water. But we have not accepted, and this is really for our two council members in the room, we have not accepted the finished product. So this was dedicated in 2017, but we have not accepted the final product from the contractor, or in this case, the engineering firm that actually built the wave. And they had a subcontractor that did the original wave, which they are no longer using. They're using a different type of engineering process to make these modifications. And so we still have to see, once we get flows, what those adjustments that Sarah is referring to, what they look like. We're very confident that we will have a feature there that will meet the purpose of creating an experience, as Sarah said in the first bullet point, that was originally intended. We feel real good about that. We've spent the last year and a half working with the engineering firm on those modifications, and all the models that have been done show that it should work. But that the models are one thing, but in practicality, actually with river flows going, there's another. So we're very optimistic that we're going to have something that's going to work. So nice work by Sarah and her team, continuing to work with the engineering firm. And again, I think once we get in the river and get these modifications made, we should see, once flows start happening, how successful those are going to be. And we feel like they will be. Anything else you want to add to that,
Yeah,
Sarah?
thank you, Director Holloway. Madam President, Commission members, we do have all of the drawings and the technical memo from the engineering firm posted on the website, so that folks can go and look at specifically what operational considerations we were seeking to solve or meet, and what the design looks like. We'll be bringing those to the public meeting on Monday. So hopefully we can walk folks through, individually, what we're trying to do with that feature and what we're trying to accomplish. It ultimately comes down to flexibility, so that the way we can, like Doug was saying, we can serve our legally required commitments to the water canal company, but that we can also serve wave users and hopefully provide a safer passage for stray boaters. By increasing flexibility across the entire structure for flow. So we're looking forward to seeing how these models play out in real time. And as Director Holloway mentioned, this is it's a wild river. Sediment builds up, flows change, everything looks different, from one spring to the next. So we'll be learning a lot when we finally do take this feature over as something we maintain wholly. We will be doing our best to adapt and ensure that over time this continues to be a wonderful public amenity.
Madam President, Sarah, could you just remind us when the time, location, and then who's going to be present
Sure.
for the meeting on Monday?
Yes, sorry, I bumbled that, Councilmember Halliburton. It'll be at the downtown library here in the large auditorium adjacent to the Children's Library. I believe it's 5:30 to 7:30. It'll be an open house style. So we if you're planning to come, you'll come and sign in, be welcomed, and then we will share with you the stations that you can progress through to learn more about the project. I will be there. My maintenance techs will be there, folks who are actually working the wave and interacting with users every day. We'll also have members of our Public Works team who have been partnering with us and with the professional engineers to come to agreement on what modifications are needed here. And then, of course, the professional engineers from Macmillan who have taken this on. And really, to Doug's point, we have not accepted this as a city facility yet. And Macmillan has done a really good job in taking ownership over this feature and wanting it to be, the remarkable feature that it is and can be. So they'll be on site as well to talk through the details of their design if needed.
Great, thank you. Madam President, just kind of following up there, I do see you and I hear you waving the signs as well. And I think everybody else does. I'm happy to talk with you after this meeting, and I would also invite you to attend the meeting on Monday where there will be engineers, maintenance folks, that I think, those questions I think could be answered a little bit more in depth with experts there.
Thank you. Any further comments or questions?
Yeah, I have one. I'm just curious. I know people that enjoy the wave on a regular basis. So is this phase 2 to make it safer or make it better?
Madam President, Commissioner Raber, that's a great question. I think the way that I would describe what we're trying to accomplish here is to provide an experience for users at all levels. The water flows throughout the course of the season fluctuate. And so obviously that's going to change the character of the wave. So we worked with Macmillan, who has modeled for different flow rates to see how that structure of the wave would change. But creating an opportunity for a safer, I guess you could say, more consistent, reliable wave structure at variable flows that will serve a variety of users, hopefully from, more beginner users to experts, with the intent of hopefully, like I said, reducing the need to have on-site staff
Monitors,
monitoring.
yeah.
Mhm.
Thank you.
And Madam President, Commission members, and Commissioner Raber, to follow up on that, the monitored sessions have been extremely successful. So what we've done is we've tapped into a whole different market of folks that want a high level, high expert wave. And so as Sarah pointed out, we really want a wave that we can still do that with this new structure, but have a wave that we can set that would be for all abilities. Right now, it really, as a monitor session, is only for an expert. And we've tapped into this whole new market where now the experts that are surfing and kayaking in this community want to see that like all the time now. And so we're dealing, it went the other direction. Like where we were concerned about it not being for everybody, those that they can use it. And we actually have people flying in from other countries that hear about this wave. They're flying in and actually coming to Boise just to hit this wave because there's nothing like it anywhere else. We still will have some of that, but we really want it for all abilities, instead of just really a monitored session for those that are expert users.
So eventually you'll get to a point where hours are expert and other hours are intermediate and other hours are beginners?
Yeah, Madam President, we haven't worked through those details yet because we really didn't foresee having that as an extra component. We really were just trying to create a wave that balances the experience for all users. In the process, we've got something that also is something very unique in the world. And so we will include that. We just haven't determined what that will look like.
Yeah, Madam President, Commissioner Raber, we're going to be learning about this structure and how these modifications affect it. Currently, we have hours due to, as Director Holloway had mentioned, our requirements associated with the canal company, that a certain amount of water moving through the wave structure created a certain type of wave that was more enjoyable for a certain type of user. So it's kind of a calculus, and we're going to have to learn this new wave feature, how it operates under these different flows, and then do our best to utilize the great in real time, frankly, communication tools that we have to make sure that, users of different experiences, users of different persuasions, whether or not they're surfers or kayakers, can determine when's the best place, when's the best time for them to utilize the wave.
Well, I'm impressed. It draws so many people, not just participants, but also spectators. So I think it's a really cool amenity to the city. So thanks for putting in all the hard work for it.
Thank you, Commissioner Weber.
Yeah, I'll just echo, thank you very much for continuing to engage the public in the process and ensuring safe river and things like that as we move forward. So unless there's any further questions or comments, say please.
I just have one. Thank you, Madam President. I was just thinking how this department is always looking for ways to balance multi-user amenities in our city, whether it be our trails or like this, we have these users, we have an obligation to provide water to these farmers, but we're also trying to make a unique experience for kayakers and surfers who we know want to use the river as well. And I just appreciate all the time and effort you guys put into, trying to balance all these different interests. So
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the presentations this evening, Sarah. It's always lovely to hear
Thank
from
you
you.
for having me, commissioners.
I heard we do not require an executive session today, in which case we'll move forward and entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second that motion for adjournment.
I think that maybe that was the first. Is there a second?
Oh, yeah, that
Sorry.
was
Second.
Yeah. No worries.
I've been
I kind of framed it weird.
72 hours.
Second.
All right, all in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Hi.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.